All right, take two. Here we go. Welcome back to the Wash Nuggets podcast, part of the Wash Kings Network. This is the show where a couple of cousins talk hoops, the NBA, and keep you updated on everything you need to know about your beloved Denver Nuggets. This show is being recorded on Thursday, December 11th at about 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I am your host, Pat Kennedy, in Cary, North Carolina. I'm also joined by Matthew Hinnon, Matty Ice, holding down the fort for us in Denver, Colorado. Also our super producer. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Doing well. Running a two-man game today. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. No guarantees that this two-man game is going to be as good as what Jokic and Jamal are doing, but for now, it's me and Matthew. Shout out MGMT, me and Michael. That's been a recent track of the Wash Nuggets. We've been listening to that one a lot. Just a great tune all around. But let's hop right into it. I got a great show for you tonight. Let's go into some news and notes. Matt, why don't you hit us with the first one?
Sure. First news of the day is the Wash Kings Network has expanded into an NFL show, and that is proudly called the Sunday Debrief. We have a brand new trio quadruple with Cam over there, which will be great. And they had their first episode yesterday. Sounded really good. They had some excellent takes, and they are getting started a little late into the NFL season, but alas, we have our second show of the network up and running, and those guys worked really hard on it, and it is up on our channel across all platforms, YouTube and Spotify and Apple. Go give it a like, go give it a listen. Go comment and subscribe. Tell those guys they did a great job, and that'll be another weekly show just like this one. And we're excited to have those guys on board and go get to learn all about those three that are on the pod. So they're really good friends of ours, and they've done a great job again. So
Yes, sir.
Pat, take us away with how the Nuggets are doing so far.
Yeah, of course. So far, the Nuggets are 17-6, which would currently stand second in the Western Conference. This is the best start in franchise history through 23 games. So, like I said, second in the Western Conference. Last week when we podcasted, we were fifth in the Western Conference. So, like I said on that note, last week was 2 through 6. Right now, it's really competitive. Right now, the standings is Nuggets in second, Rockets in third. In the fourth, you got the Lakers, then the Spurs, and then the Timberwolves, all within like a game and a half apart from one another. So here in a week, it could be any of these 6 teams in that second spot. Hopefully, it's the Nuggets, but we'll obviously keep you updated in 1 week. The only team that's kind of pulling away right now is the OKC Thunder with a record of 24-1. They're 6 games ahead of every other team. Nuggets are currently 6 games back, so might take a while for us to catch up to them. I'm not sure if we'll be able to, but it'll be funny to see. But that kind of leads us into our next note.
Yeah. The NBA quarterfinals, the NBA Cup quarterfinals are on Saturday. And we're going to see the 17-7 Spurs face off against the 24-1 Oklahoma City Thunder. My only note on this one, I think Wemby is, they said he's going to be on the plane, which is great. But I think he's going to be kind of a game time decision for that one. But the stat I wanted to throw out here was that the Thunder are, to this point, plus 19 with SGA on the court and plus 11 with SGA off the court. And that 24-1 start is the best start to a season since the 2015-2016 Warriors. So we're seeing a lot of maybe not ethical is the right word to use, just how Shea plays. But the rest of the team is playing really well, especially with him on
It's
the court.
really balanced. Yeah.
Super balanced. And something that you had mentioned before we started this, Pat, is that they were without
Jalen Williams.
Jalen
Yeah.
Williams for a good portion of the first 25 games. So something to think about. And if you're a Thunder fan, I gotta give you guys props, man. Like that's a fun team to watch right now. I hate them, and just because I'm a Nuggets fan and what they did last year, but they're playing really well, and it's something to be proud of. And as a basketball fan, it's something that is really cool to see. Especially
It
we
is.
haven't seen this in 10 years, and I was a little too young to understand kind of what the 2015 2016 Warriors team was about. I was 15 at the time, but yeah, something to kind of to look at and to kind of try to wrap your brain around. Um, but over in the East, we're gonna see the 17-7 Knicks face off against the 15-10 Magic, and then the final game will be on Tuesday. So we have four really good teams in this fight right now, and it'll be cool to see that. My prediction is that the Thunder are going to roll over everybody, and that they're going to take the cup. I just think they're playing way too well right now. They're on a hot streak. Everything that I've been reading says that they aren't really focused on that. Lou Dagnall said that his team's very focused on winning the next possession, and we see that out of really good teams. And I'm also very surprised that their franchise players, SGA and Chet and Hartenstein are kind of taking that. They're younger guys. They've been around the block for sure. They just won an NBA title, but um, they have done a great job of compartmentalizing their season so far, and it's shown. So I think they're going to roll over everybody. What you got?
Yeah. That's a valid take. It's probably the right take too. I think out of the East, I think the Knicks will beat the Magic. I think the Magic have been playing with some magic as of recent. They've
Yeah,
kind of surprised us all. I'm actually really surprised to see their record at 15-10. Obviously, they're winning games when it matters. They wouldn't be doing so if they weren't in this position in the NBA Cup. But I'm going to take the Knicks on that one. My sister and Jordy will be at the game. Nikki and Jordan will be at that game. Jordan's brother's a huge Knicks fan. So it'll be a fun environment for them to be in. And then I'll just throw out a bold take. I'm going to say the Spurs beat the Thunder. I just looked it up. Mitch Johnson, head coach of the Spurs, said that Wemby's he's likely going to play that game. Um, I feel like it's going to be an environment that Wemby's been in before. He did it in the Olympics last summer, where he played really good in the championship, and I think he kind of wants that revenge, finally be a champion of something for the first time in his early career. So it'd be really cool to see if Wemby could, first of all, beat the Thunder and then win the NBA Cup. So that's my predictions. Let's roll right into our next news and notes. This one's another great high praise for one of our players. A great accolade was achieved this week. Jamal Murray was named the Week 7 Western Conference Player of the Week. He did it while averaging 29.8 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game on 59.5% shooting, and 62% three-point percentage. And I know we talked about Jamal last episode, and we're going to talk about him on our main segment this episode. But man, it's just so good to see him playing the way he's doing, and to finally get a real accolade like this. It's his first Player of the Week accolade, and to see a player that's not named Nikola Jokic on our team get an accolade is really cool. So, what are your thoughts about Jamal finally getting a Player of the Week accolade?
yeah, it's great, and I think it speaks to it speaks to his preparation over the off season. I think he did a little bit more than just kind of work on his game. I think he worked on his body too, which is great to see. Because I think last week or 2 weeks ago he was uh, not really questionable, but he was dealing with either calf or ankle situation, and then he dropped 50. And I have, it was kind of one of those games where you're like, okay, Jamal, is that ankle really hurting you that bad? But I think it just speaks to his preparation over the. Sorry, I had a motorcycle outside.
Good.
I think it speaks to his preparation over the off season and into the first couple weeks of the season. I think he's done a great job, and I'm super happy that he got some recognition here, and I really hope he builds off of it.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up his health too, because I feel like part of him being healthy and playing consistent this year has to do with the fact that he is healthy. And I think both go hand in hand. The more you play, like the more you're active, the better your body's going to feel. And so I think that's what's happening with him this year. And this is something that's happened with Jokic throughout his whole career. He's kind of had to play, and knock on
Yeah.
wood, he's never had a real injury. Yeah, I just knocked on wood too. So yeah, it's really cool to see a Jamal Murray, and I know we'll talk about it later, but maybe an All Star appearance from Jamal this year. But
Foreshadowing.
we'll see. Foreshadowing, yeah. But let's hop right into our first segment. We're going to break down the last two games. On Friday, December 5th, in Atlanta, this was a crazy comeback win by the Nuggets, 134 to 133. Right out of the gate of this game, Hawks came out firing. They shot 76% in quarter one. Just felt like they couldn't miss. Every three ball that went up just found the basket. Hawks led 41 to 23 at the end of the quarter. And watching this one, I was like, oh, great. It's a blowout that, what's the point of watching this one?
Mm-hmm.
Into the second quarter, it was just turnover after turnover by the Nuggets. Wasn't making their case any better, just leading to fast break points for Atlanta. The defense was tired, offense was tired. It just did not look like Nuggets basketball. The halftime score was 73 to 54, so we were getting absolutely blown out. It was about to turn off the game. And it was a bad Jokic half, too. When Jokic starts off bad, obviously the team's going to start off bad. He was 2 of 13 field goal, and 0 for 6 from 3, so just unlike himself. And then on the other side, Jalen Johnson had a triple double in the first half at 11, 10, and 12. Um, I mean, giving up a triple double in the first half is just unacceptable. And props to Jalen Johnson. He's been having a great year. And I guess kind of cool for him to have a triple double early in that game against the Nuggets and Jokic. Jokic is kind of known for that. So kind of cool, but whatever. And into the second half, Nuggets came out inspired. In the first 3 minutes, the Nuggets went on a 7-2 run, cut the deficit to 4, 77 to 73. And all of a sudden, I was like, okay, maybe I should keep this game on. Kept watching. It looked like the defense was just locking down the Hawks. Jokic was going off, was 7 from 7 to start the second half. I had 17 points in that third quarter. Nuggets won that quarter 40 to 30, so they were doing the right things if they wanted to stay in this game. Into the fourth quarter, it was a great start from the bench. They tied the game with just under 10 minutes to go. And then Jokic was able to rest for the first 6.5 minutes. So the first over half of the fourth quarter, he didn't even have to play, which was awesome. Hawks made a late run once Jokic was in. They kept it neck and neck. Thought Jamal stepped up really well down the stretch defensively, which was really crucial. Between that and Jokic was just taking over. He always knows when to turn it on. It just seemed like he was scoring every time he wanted to on Porzingis, who's a good tall defender for him. They won the fourth quarter, same score, 40 to 30, which resulted in a final win of 134 to 133. What an amazing comeback. It was actually the third largest comeback in franchise history. They were down 23 at one point. What were your thoughts about that game, Matty? I know it was a roller coaster of a game.
I mean, roller coaster of game, to put it lightly, I think. Got some flashbacks in the first half of last year and the year before, Nuggets just not caring to play defense. And it kind of seems like this Nuggets team wants to rest to play offense, rest on defense so that they can score more points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really does hurt having AG as a kind of lockdown guy in the paint. Put him on star forward and kind of let him go to work. And then having somebody like Christian Braun to, fly around everywhere and then go take fast break points. I think it's really hurting the Nuggets. But at the same time, throughout the course of the first 25 games, we've seen the Nuggets play really good defense, and we did the second half. And it just it kind of throws me for a loop, and it infuriates me to watch this team let up 73 first half points.
Unreal.
73 first half points, and then turn around after a 15-minute break and go, all right, yeah, we're going to score deep, or we're going to play defense now.
I wonder, what it takes. I wonder who's getting on who in the halftime huddle. I'm sure Adelman is about to blow a fuse.
And he was pretty adamant. He was really fired up about them not playing defense. But why? My question is, why does it take that for you to want to play defense? I remember from that game, Bruce was having a rough go of it. We talk about this Nuggets team being deep this year and being able to have guys to come in off the bench. And maybe this was one of those times where it was just a little inconsistent and they just had an off day. Bruce is usually flying around getting steals, being a pest. And when he was on, he wasn't. When he was on the court, I think he was a little complacent. I think the entire team was very complacent about playing defense. And it looked that way. Like you said, they looked tired. So anyway, great comeback. I remember at halftime being like, yeah, I think the Nuggets could come back. We've seen this. We've seen this before. We've seen this story before. But we haven't seen it yet this year. I remember last year and the year before, we were just like, yep, here we go. Another Nuggets 20-point comeback. We can do it.
Yeah.
It had happened so many times over the course of those seasons where you were just like, yep, that's totally possible.
We've seen it before and we know they can do it. But
And we know
why put yourself in that position?
They can do it. I think it was different this team this year for me personally, looking at this game being like, I don't actually know if they've got it. Because in those games, we had AG and we had Christian Braun, and Jokic didn't look horrible to start the game. But now that all of those things, all of those variables are in the equation, it was hard for me to look at it and be like, yeah, I think they can come back. But then again, somewhere in the back of my head was like, they've done it before. They can surprise and do it again. And they did, which is fantastic. Great second half of basketball from those guys.
No doubt.
Physical defense was great, and the aggressive offense was fantastic. Jokic finished with 49 and 8. He's 13 to 26 from the field. Jamal finished with 23, 5, 12, and 2. And the bench put up 40 points.
Yeah.
Which was
big. Yeah. They were big in the second half.
That was huge in the second half. And we harp on the bench as being deep, man. That second half was fantastic basketball. I really wish I could just erase the fact that I watched the first half of this game and then turned it off.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned is more physical defense, more physical, what'd you say? More physical defense and more aggressive offense in that second half. This is really a game of two halves, and it's frustrating, like you said. They can't just play, why not just play that way for two halves? Because who's not giving up 70 in one half? The Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. So let's move on to the other game that we'll recap. This one will be a little bit quicker. On Sunday, December 7th in Charlotte, resulted in a win 115 to 106. Jamal came out firing, had 23 in the first quarter, but it was still a really close game. The defense gave up 34. It was 34-34 at the end of that first quarter. Thought this one was going to be a dogfight. against a bad Charlotte team who's also missing. They were missing Ball again.
Yep.
I feel like we haven't seen Ball play. Maybe he's like Embiid. He's the new Embiid where he dodges the Nuggets. But he was out this game, so it could have been a game where it was a trap game for the Nuggets, but luckily it wasn't. Into the second quarter, Nuggets came out on a 5-0 run, but still found a way to lose the quarter by one. So they're down one going to the half. 57 Charlotte led at the half. Jamal had 27 in the first half. Really, really good start from Jamal, but just needed a little bit more defensively to support him. Into the second half, Nuggets went down 8 early, and it was like, oh boy, here we go again. We're going to lose to a bad team, trap game. Here we go.
Yep.
But right after that, they went on a run to go. They went on a 10-0 run and ended up winning the third quarter, 30-23. Felt like we could finally pull away. And then in the fourth quarter, finally took care of business and resulted in a win. Looking at the box score, Jamal finished with 34. Definitely was a great way to cap off his week 7. Helped him get that Player of the Week accolade. And then just a typical Jokic game, 28, 9, and 11.
Sombor double.
Just typical. So, yeah, the Sombor double. Yeah, exactly. Just classic. Any notes from that game, Matty?
I mean, you said it, man. And watching this game, I just actually sat there with my girlfriend, and we were sitting there talking about the game because we were both watching it, and she's a Nuggets fan by association, and she was sitting there saying, why do the Nuggets always do this against bad teams? And it surprised the heck out of me because I was like, how do you know this?
Yeah, I'm asking myself that same thing against every bad team we play.
How do you know they play really bad against bad teams? And she's like, because you always get upset when they play bad against bad teams. Yeah. I was like, okay. So, and I think that was the story of this game. That's the only note I took away is like, it looked in the beginning like they just couldn't take care of business, and they can't get that monkey off their back of playing a bad team and losing. And it's typical. I mean, like you said, typical Nuggets fashion. Go down 8 early in the third quarter, and then it's a game of runs after that. Nuggets, like you said, 10-0 run, and then they finish it out, which is great. But as a Nuggets fan, if you've watched them and you kind of know what you're looking at, you're saying that every time. You're like, well, can they finish it out? Start of the fourth quarter, can they finish out this game? And that's something to be thought about and said. But something that I'm learning more and more about professional sports in this way is if you win the game, you win the game. It doesn't really matter how you get there. If you win the game, you win the game. And Nuggets won, and I think they're happy and proud to come away with that win, even though it's against, Charlotte, who's really not a good team, but they're also a professional basketball team, and those guys are professional basketball players. So, anybody can win on any given night, and I just think that was my biggest takeaway is typical Nuggets fashion, win against a bad team.
Yeah, that's true. A win's a win, like you said. One thing that I always try to take note of from each game is how many quarters did we win? And if we go 4 for 4 on quarter wins, which I'm not sure if we have done that this year, that's a great game, and obviously that results in a win. As long as you can win 3 of the 4 quarters, you should win. But where you get yourself into trouble is when you're playing that 50-50 ball where you lose 2 quarters, which you're essentially losing a half, and then you're playing that comeback basketball, which they did against the Hawks, and now you got to win 2 other quarters to win the game.
And how many times have we seen this, especially against the Hawks game, where we're texting in the group chat, they've lost 3 straight quarters. They lost the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, and we're in the fourth quarter, and it's a dogfight, and every one of us is saying they don't deserve to win this game.
Yeah.
Every single time. We don't deserve to win this game. Yeah. They don't deserve to win. They played crap the whole game. They don't deserve to win this game. And then they come out with a win, like that, 134, 133. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, the silver lining about this, and you can't make excuses, but we are missing CB and AG. But it's great that we're finding ways to win these games without those guys and continue this uh, 10 game road win streak. I'm not sure if we talked about that earlier or not yet, but that's a franchise record, and hopefully that they can extend that to 11 tonight. Hopefully by the time for you as a listener, listen to this podcast, it's 11. If we take care of business against those Kings, but we're finding ways to win games, and I think it's really big for guys like Spencer Jones to get real minutes, guys like
Yes.
Peyton Watson to get big minutes. So we're finding ways to win games shorthanded, which we weren't able to do last year, obviously. And then it was a real big struggle. Not necessarily a struggle in the playoffs, but we were fighting for our lives in the playoffs last year and just fell short. So if you're ready, we'll hop into our next segment. This one will be a little bit shorter than last week's, but we got the fall damage report with Matty Ice. Shout out the Fortnite sound. I love it. What do you got for us, Matty?
All right, cool. Well, Spencer Jones is officially active, probable, for the game against the Kings. He had a right knee contusion that I think may or may not have been a contusion. I don't really know, but he's back in the active lineup, which is good. We've got three guys. Aaron Gordon still with that right hamstring strain, which is just man, it's a brutal knife in the heart. But he is, according to Vinny Benedetto of the Denver Gazette.
The Denver Gazette.
The Denver Gazette, yeah.
I love that.
They cover a lot of this stuff, and
Okay.
Vinny, ESPN put Vinny stuff out, so super cool to kind of see that local coverage. But Aaron Gordon is not expected to return before Christmas. So I know I said last week I think he was kind of 3 to 4 weeks out. I think that's been extended by a week or two. I think they're kind of going to see how things are rolling. Man, I don't know. All-Star break, maybe. I think they might keep him out till then. I really don't know, man.
Because you don't want to rush that back, especially that injury. That was something he was lingering with in the playoffs, and then it's obviously that, like you brought up last episode, it's just one of those lingering injuries that never really goes away.
Yeah.
So you really can't rush him, especially this time of year. And like you said last podcast, you'd rather have them healthy for the back half of the season and going into playoffs. So what do you got on Christian Braun?
So Christian has the left ankle sprain, and he is to be reevaluated in 6 weeks still. So that's going to be a rough one. He's going to be out the longest. Saw that he was making some good progress, but still not a participant in practice at all. But the training staff says that he's making good progress. So I think they'll stay true to that 6 weeks. I don't think he's coming back any sooner than that. And then that moves us to Julian Strother, who's been dealing with a lower back injury for the last month, I guess now. There's no timeline on him. And he participated in 3v3 this week, but he hasn't been cleared by the training staff for 5v5 scrimmages in practice. I wanted to touch on this probably for a couple minutes just because I think it's a bigger issue. But also, is he needed? And I think it's also hurting his chances of being a playoff consideration for the Nuggets. Not so much in the fact that he's just losing minutes and he's losing chances to prove himself, even though he's a third-year guy. But he's been dealing with this for a little while. Like I said last pod, you can't rush this also, just because it's a back situation. And we've seen really good players with back situations really get hurt over the course of their career. And I think MPJ is probably the biggest one that we know and that we've covered for a little while. Is his situation with his back and having 3 back surgeries, and he's a trooper for playing through 3 back surgeries and still being in the NBA. But I am not sure about this Julian Strawther situation. I don't know if it's a bigger issue. And do you think he's needed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. Is he needed? Short answer is no. And that just goes to Denver's depth. Once we get fully healthy, no. If he was healthy right now, probably yes. He'd be a good piece for us off the bench, and it'd probably be big for him to, get some minutes back. But I could see him being a guy, and Adam Matas on DNVR always says that uh, he might be a guy who gets traded at the All-Star break, which could see. But if he's not getting any minutes, I don't know
He's
how
lost
he's
a
gonna.
lot of
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know where his stock's gonna be
I don't
at
know.
by
He's lost
then.
a lot of stock. Yeah.
So if you do want to trade him, you probably want him to come back relatively soon, get some minutes, show off a little bit. Um, but as of now, just where Denver's depth is at, we've got some guards off the bench, THJ and Bruce Braun. It just kind of sucks for Julian Strawther. He's got a lot of upside as an NBA player. He was in the futures game either last year or the year before.
Year
And
before.
I've always been a Strawther guy. He just plays with fun. Like he's a fresh and loose guy. But yeah, I don't. To answer your question, no, he's not needed. But he's a nice to have. I'll frame it that way. He would be a nice to have, and he just adds to that bench depth.
Yeah. I totally agree. And kind of to speak to the way that Tim Hardaway's kind of stepped into this role, and Bruce Brown is now back off the bench, and um, not that I think Spencer Jones can play that position, but small forward, shooting guard combo, and he's been playing great. And now that he's back from his little knee thing, I think that'll be a good addition back for the Denver Nuggets for today's game. But yeah, I don't know. I just look at Julian Strawther and I'm like, man, if it was either which way, I think it'd be better for the Nuggets. If he was healthy and competing and playing, then you can definitely use him for some trade capital here at the deadline and even at the All-Star break. But man, he's been hurting his chances, and he's also been hurting his chances for any sort of playoff consideration.
Yeah,
And I remember last year, he's kind of proven himself in the playoffs a little bit. I think a little bit for those listeners out there that might be losing their minds and pulling their hair out for me saying that a little bit, but because he had the Julian Strawther game
yeah, there was a Julian Strawther game.
in the playoffs. And
Uh-huh.
we were just like, oh my God. And I thought because of that, he might have a bigger consideration from David Adelman and this season. Bringing on Tim Hardaway and Bruce Brown has really kind of nulled that fact. But yeah, we can move on. I don't want to touch on that any more than we absolutely have to. But he has no timeline to being back. Played 3v3 this week, but has not been cleared for full 5-on-5 scrimmages in practice. So,
Joe. Okay. Well, thanks for that update. I'm glad we were at least able to address the Julian Strawther situation. But let's hop into our third and main segment where we will talk about our very own ethical hooper, Jamal Murray, who he's making a real serious case for himself to be an all-star. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Some might call him the Jamal star. And I know if you
yes.
listen to DNVR, in addition to our show, they're trying to get that hashtag going, hashtag Jamal star. So we might use that this week on our shorts. But so far this year, Jamal is averaging 25 points, which is up a little bit from our update last week. Or 4.5 rebounds, 6.8 assists, which is up a little bit from last week, and 3.3 3-pointers made per game. Similar to last week, he's averaging a career high in each of these stats, shooting just over 50% from the field and about 45% from three. Same thing, career highs in that. Where we're talking about him as an ethical hooper, his free throw stats, and he's a great free throw shooter. He's usually around that 90% mark. I think this year. Yeah, he's at 89.8%. He's averaging 3.6 free throws made on just 4 attempts. And look at guys like SGA who could play a very similar game to Jamal Murray.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
the only difference is SGA goes into the lane and is looking to draw a foul. Jamal's looking to finish. And what I love about Jamal so far this year, he's just taking what the defense is giving him. You know, he's reading if they're sagging off. You know, I'm going to step back, shoot a three in your face, and you know how versatile he is with that mid-range jump shot, which is arguably one of the hardest shots in the NBA. Um, he's nailing those every time, and he's looking to finish at the rim, like I said. Um, so there, I'll dive deeper into more of him as an ethical hooper. Currently, there's 21 players in the NBA averaging 25 plus points. Um, and Jamal ranks last on that list for free throws attempted, um, which is just a crazy stat. So he's only averaging four free throws attempted and 25 plus points, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's
Um,
wild.
and I heard today the only other player that's averaging 25 plus points and under 5 free throws is our friend Michael Porter Jr., which
Wow.
is kind of cool. Yeah. So he's
Ooh,
playing some ethical hoops
ethical
over in
hoops.
Brooklyn now. Um,
Brooklyn's got ethical hoops.
yeah. A couple diving deeper into some Jamal stats from this year. He's had 5 30-point games this year. And he had 11 last year. So far he's on pace
He's
to
on pace to pass
to
that.
beat that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like we talked earlier. He's playing consistent. He's getting those 25, 30 pieces more consistently. I feel like we're kind of moving away from the Jamal experience that we talked about a few weeks ago, where he's up and down,
Right.
inconsistent. So far in his career, he's had 8 40-point games. Um, and in those 8 40-point games, he's never had double digits in free throw attempts, which is just crazy. You think about where the NBA is at nowadays, guys who are going for a 50 burger, it usually takes 15 to 20 free throws to get there. Um, so, for example, in his 52-point game against Indiana, he only shot 5 free throws. Looking at the other 7 40-point games he's had in his career, 7 free throws, 9 free throws, 4 4 0. He had 0 in a 50-point game, 6 and 5. So just the complete ethical hooper. And you know, there could be a serious argument that Jamal Murray is the most ethical hooper of all time. So, Matty Ice, I'll let you take it from here. I know I've been talking and uh, Jamaling off. I know we call it yoking off when we're glazing Jokic, but
Mauling off. I like
mauling off,
mauling
that could be
off.
our new one.
No, man, you hit on some fantastic points, and not to regurgitate, all the numbers that you just put up, which are incredible by the numbers, but he's playing a little bit more complete of a basketball game than we've seen him play. And I think he's playing with a lot more confidence. I think he trusts his body more. I think he trusts his teammates a little bit more. I think he trusts his shot more. And this is what I'll go back to what I said earlier about his preparation during the off season was different. And we've seen that. We're now seeing that, throughout the first 25 games here and how he's been playing. I think he did a lot during the offseason to really help himself. And I think he trusts his body more. I think he trusts the shots that he takes. There were, within the first 5 games or so, there were some shots that he was putting up that I was like, what are you doing? And he made them. There were some off balance threes, 1 foot 3-point shots that he was throwing up there. And he's got a lot of confidence to take these shots. And he's got a lot more confidence in himself. He's a lot more confidence in his body. And I think we're seeing that a lot this season. So I think it's really good to kind of see where he's going with that. Yeah, man. I'm looking at the numbers right now, and ethical hooper is kind of that's to say the least in this situation. And I just think he's playing with so much confidence, and I think you can see that.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, as we know, as former basketball players and even as rec basketball players, confidence is everything, especially as a shooter. Say
yes,
you miss your first handful of shots in a game, usually your mentality shifts to, okay, how can I impact this game without shooting? Let me shift my focus to defense, which he's done a good job of, but he also does a good job of finding his way out of a funk. Like if he's missed a few in a row, he's going to find a way to find his stride and, make his next three pointers and get the Nuggets back in the game or extend a Nuggets lead, which has been really great for him. And I'm really glad that you touch on the confidence piece.
yeah. I think he just needs to see him in, and he'll go to a layup. He'll go to a tough layup to see one in.
Yeah, he will.
He'll
Hmm.
dig into his bag and pull out some magic trick of a layup
Hmm.
just to see one go in, and
Yeah.
then
Whereas a lot, yeah,
and
I
then
didn't mean to
there
cut
and
you
then there,
off.
no, you're good. And then there he goes for 15, 17, 20 and a quarter, and we see a Murray flurry, and that's it's great. I mean, again, I just think he has so much confidence in his body and the way that he prepared in the off season.
Yeah.
So,
Well, a lot of times when a player wants to, like, hasn't seen one in a while, they'll want to draw a foul just to get to the free throw line to see a couple in. Jamal's just trying to get to the basket and he's trying to make the highlight reel of having a crazy finish. Maybe he's not even focused on making a highlight reel, but he's an elite finisher and
he
he's
is.
got an elite, like I said, mid range game. And when he's on from three, there's nights where he's the best player in the NBA, and I'm glad he got that Player of the Week accolade this week. And it's so fun to finally have a consistent Jamal Murray, a piece alongside Jokic. Um, their two
Absolutely.
man game, might not be as good as ours, Matty Ice, on this podcast, but all jokes
Definitely.
aside, it is just so great to see. In addition to a deep bench, and I feel like it's all going to come in fruition once CB and AG come back, and it's going to be really fun to see. And hopefully by then, everybody's going to be healthy, so we can match up against OKC and give them a run for their money and show them who's really the best team in the Western Conference. So
Yes, sir.
I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you have no other notes, let's close this out. Our last segment, as always, we're going to predict the next week. The next game is actually tonight, here in about an hour and 10 minutes, right? Against Sacramento. Our former host, who's also on his mission out in Sacramento, as we jokingly put it, Cam Kennedy is at that game. He's a employee of the Sacramento Kings, but he was able to get in a suite for this game.
Yeah, man. Cool, really cool situation and super cool gig he's got out there. We're all super proud of him, but
Hmm.
go catch him over on the Sunday Debrief podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I know he's going to be excited to get back behind a microphone. So
Yeah.
excited for him to talk ball again. But tonight against Sacramento, Sacramento's 6-18. Uh, you would think that the Nuggets take care of business against a bad team, but it's the Nuggets. Any bold predictions for tonight, Maddie?
I honestly don't have a super bold prediction. I actually my bold prediction, as I say that, my bold prediction for tonight is that Russell Westbrook goes off like he kind of did in the win
In the
against the
last game?
Nuggets the last game. Um, Not super bold, but that's my prediction for tonight. But the Nuggets are on a 10 and, or is it 10-0, 9-0, 10-0? I think it's 10-0 on the road, right?
The road streak, yeah,
Road
they've
streak
got
is
10
10
and
and 0. Okay. So
going for 11 tonight.
10-0 on the road to this point, and they've won their last 3 games. The Kings have lost 5 out of the last 6. Um, I think I think the Nuggets come away with a win on the road. I think Jokic has a triple double, and I think the Nuggets kind of get into a groove. I think they've been here before too many times, especially with the Kings. I think they're kind of comfortable in Sacramento. It didn't look like it the last time, but I think they come out a little bit more comfortable. I think Jamal continues his charade. Um, that's what I've got.
Got you. Yeah, my bold prediction is obviously Nuggets win. We extend the franchise record home streak or away win streak to 11. But my bold prediction is that this is the Cam Johnson game. He's going to go for
Ooh,
30 tonight.
Cam
We're going
Johnson
to finally, yeah,
case.
he's going to come out of his cage. And he's been playing a lot more consistent, and we haven't had any bad notes about him
Yeah,
so far. But this is going to be the Cam Johnson legacy game. He's
love
going to
it.
start catching his stride. He's going for 30 tonight. And hopefully for you as a listener, listen to this podcast either tomorrow or later this week. Hopefully I'm right. And
Yeah,
hopefully we're right that the Nuggets take care of business against this Kings team. But like you said, we'll see what Russ does. He's a guy who plays with that FU mentality. He might play with some vengeance again against this Nuggets team. But let's go into our next prediction against Houston on Monday. This will finally be back at home. The Nuggets, although they're on a 10 road win streak, they're also on a 4-game home losing streak. We talked about that last episode, but we'll finally be back at home and we'll be battle tested again against Houston. Houston's a good team this year. Um, so what are your predictions on Monday at home against Houston?
yeah. The Nuggets are going to have 2 days off, 2 days of rest for this game. I'm gonna, but I'm gonna have to go with the Nuggets loss against Houston. They just can't seem to win at home. They're really missing AG and CB on the defensive side. I see this. I see them losing this game, and yeah, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
I think they take an L here versus Houston. I just they can't seem to win at home over the last couple games. But yeah,
I agree, and I think my prediction is a loss as well, unfortunately. And the point about CB and AG still being out, I think coming back from a road trip, especially for the Nuggets, the altitude's gonna affect the Nuggets. I mean, you haven't played in it in over a week, so welcome back to Denver. It's gonna be a tough one. Um, you know, that should be a really good matchup and should be a fun one. I think it'll be a competitive one, regardless of who wins. I think it's going to come down to the last couple minutes of that game.
for sure.
Hopefully, Nuggets end up on top, but my prediction is a Nuggets loss. We'll see what Kevin Durant does. And then a week from today, against Orlando at home. Like I said, the Orlando Magic have surprises this year. They're 15-10. So, what are your predictions a week from today at home against Orlando?
Yeah, I think they win at home. I think they need a win at home. But you're going up again. You got Orlando Magic versus some Mile High Magic in there a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think the Nuggets come away with a win. They're going to be rested 3 days for that game. 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then play Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. So they
So
play.
two full days in between. Yeah, I think they win at home. Like you said, kind of being here, getting reacclimated to altitude, even though that's kind of neither here nor there. But I think the Nuggets need a win at home, and I think they get it versus the Magic. And then we'll kind of see where the rest go from there.
Got you. Yeah. So looks like you and I have the exact same predictions. In the next week, we're going to go 2-1. That's our predictions. Hopefully 3-0. Denver
Hopefully,
Nuggets.
yeah.
Please prove us
We're
wrong.
on a three. They're on a 3-game win streak right now.
Yeah. They could extend it to what would it be 4 tonight.
Yeah, 5-6.
5-6. Yeah. And then make it 7. 6-7. All right. On that note, let's wrap this one up. Go follow us on the socials if you haven't already. If you're listening, if you made it this far and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? It's free to hit that subscribe button. If you're subscribed to us, you'll also be subscribed to the Sunday Debrief. Our friends at Sunday Debrief, they just kicked off a NFL show. Great way to keep up with fantasy, weekly NFL news, especially this time of year. It's starting to become crunch time for some teams. So, give them a listen, follow them on the socials. Um, we're really trying to grow this Wash Kings network, and we're having fun doing it. So,
Heck yeah.
without further ado, Matty Ice, hit that outro button. We'll see you next week.